Enough people there? Yes. Sorry, I apologize. I got the wrong place. Anyway, so I can make the announcement about people can access this on Zoom, but anyone here already knows that. But the Zoom meeting ID is 870-4430-5271. Password is FinCom capital, all capitals FINCOM. The Zoom chat will not be monitored. Participants who wish to speak must raise the hand icon until the chair asks them to unmute. All items within the meeting agenda are subject to deliberation and vote. First item is no excused absent members. I think I haven't been able to look at the whole screen to see if everyone's here.
So Jim, we don't have everyone, but we have Tom, Wayne, Amanda, and Carla, and you.
So that's 5. That's all we need for a quorum, right?
Yes, you have a quorum.
Thank you.
So just noting that.
Okay, the next is reorganization of offices. It's after today, it starts a new fiscal year. And I don't know if anyone wants to volunteer. I haven't heard from anyone, but people can volunteer if they like. So my term officially ends today, and I haven't heard from the moderator. Well, I heard that she'll reappoint me, but I haven't done that. But let's assume I get reappointed. I'd be willing to serve as chairperson again. But if anyone else wanted to do it, I would yield it. So would anyone like to make a motion to nominate anybody to be the chairperson?
I nominate Jim Sullivan for the office of chairman of the Finance Committee.
I
second that.
Oh, Wayne can have it.
Okay, so there's a motion seconded. Any further discussion on that motion? Okay, all in favor?
No, it has to be a roll call vote.
Oh, right. Okay, so Amanda,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
Carla,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and I'll abstain.
So Jim,
Yeah.
Priscilla has also joined the meeting.
And I
great.
say yes, 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 yes.
Thank you. Okay, so the ayes have it. Next, is there a nomination to be the vice chairperson?
I'd like to nominate Amanda.
Okay, so there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made in second. Any further discussion on that motion? Okay, roll call vote. Amanda?
I'll abstain.
Thanks. Carla?
Yes.
Wayne?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And Priscilla?
Yes.
Okay, so that motion passed. Thank you for serving again, Amanda. Is there a nomination for someone to be our clerk?
I nominate Carla as our clerk.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on that motion? All right, hearing. All right, I just switched over to the computer. All right, so hearing none, roll call vote. Amanda,
Yes.
Carla,
Abstain.
thanks. Wayne,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Priscilla,
Yes.
thank you. Okay, next, general funds, reserve fund transfer for fire department. So either Marlene or Erica, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. So I'll start. And we also have Assistant Fire Chief Joe Carrera with us for any questions about the request. But we are looking to use the full remaining balance of the general fund reserve the general fund reserve fund. And I left my agenda at the office, and I don't know what the remaining balance is, but I think it's 147,000, Erica.
$152,700.
Thank you. So does that fund roll over? So tomorrow, there's a new fund, new fully funded reserve fund? I mean, not roll over, but tomorrow starts a whole new fund.
That's correct. So
Okay.
it is in the operating budget. So the funds at the stroke of midnight disappear at June 30th. And then the FY26 reserve fund, which Erica, did we fund FY26 at 250?
I believe it's 250. I was just trying to look that up, but it's a little less than this year's was 272,500.
Yeah, I think we funded FY26 at 250. So that new $250,000 becomes available for use beginning tomorrow.
Great, thank you. Hey, Wayne?
What are these funds for? Going to be used for?
So the fire department overtime line is in deficit. So these funds will be used to pay the overtime bill for the fire department. And the department is running with a number of vacancies, both some retirements that we're working to fill with new personnel and some long-term injuries. And Joe can speak to the details on the staffing if you want more detail on that. But this is all salary money for overtime.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carrera, would you like to add anything?
Sure, please call me Joe. Thank you. Chief Palanzi is away this week, so that's why you have me pinch hitting. As Marlene had alluded to, we have some openings right now. If you think of a table and it's 4 legs, each one of our shifts is a leg of that table. We have 4 shifts with 10 personnel assigned to each shift. We can run at 9 without hiring overtime. Once we go below 9, it triggers overtime. And we are basically down one whole leg of a table right now. We have basically 9 openings. We have 4 openings that we are currently and actively going through the hiring process. 3 people that we are going through background checks and physicals. And then we just had another firefighter submit his resignation to go to another community, which gives us 4 openings for firefighter spots. And then we also have 2 long-term injuries that were off the job that is coming out of sick time, the personnel sick time. And then we have 3 IODs that we are working. One is going through the retirement process, and there's 2 others that we're closely monitoring. But we're basically down that one whole leg, 9 people. While it's spread out evenly amongst the remaining shifts, it does affect overtime, because the staffing of each of those 4 shifts right now is 3 of them are at 8 and 1 of them is at 7. So every day we have to, for 3 of the shifts, we have to hire at least 1 person for 24 hours. And then for the other shift that only has 7 people, we have to hire 2. And that's before anybody takes vacation, sick leave, personal time. And until we get those positions filled, we are going to incur overtime. But I'll take any further questions. Our people, they're troopers. They're working very hard. I just talked to the on-duty shift commander tonight. We are holding 7 people tomorrow. This is a tough time of year because vacations. And the other thing I should add is FMLA. I think Chief Palanzi's memo really laid everything out well. But we have a young department. There's a lot of babies born, and then there's issues with taking care of elderly parents. The Family Medical Leave Act is up, and that impacts our overtime as well. And the last thing before I take any questions is, as of midnight tonight, this will again be our busiest year. So our calls continue to rise. And, to cover stations when nobody else is available, we do bring in people for overtime. So the big drivers in Chief Palanzi's memo were to staff the shifts to 9 so we can staff all the apparatus, and then the emergency recalls. There was one other thing I'll just explain, the holdovers. What he means by that is if an ambulance call comes in at 7:20 in the morning, the guys go off duty at 8 o'clock in the morning. If they transport, let's say, to Beth Israel, and they don't get back till 9 o'clock, they get overtime from there for 1 hour. So that was the other between the three, the shift staffing, the emergency recall, and then that holdover pay. But I'll answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions or any further discussion on this?
Joe, it's Carla. And I'm sorry, I don't know this, but this 150 approximately is for overtime. How much have we paid or will pay in overtime year to date?
I can answer that.
Thanks, Erica.
You're welcome. So I will note that currently, as of the last warrant, June 25th, 2025, the total overtime expenses were $1,013,982.36. I will say that the entire personnel services budget is overexpended by $204,672.14, still with 1.2 payrolls left of the fiscal year. Now, because there were some savings in other personnel services lines, we anticipate the total amount needed to fund the fire personnel budget to be $375,000. And we will do that with this $152,700 reserve fund transfer. We'll use an intra-function transfer from the police department for expected salary turnbacks, and the remainder will come from expected expenditure turnbacks. Again, intra-function within the public safety function.
Right pocket, left pocket. And is there a reason why we're having a hard time finding eight new people?
Well, some of those are injuries. So, we're hoping they're going to return.
Okay.
But it is a very good time to be a paramedic. When I got on 30 something years ago, it was very competitive as an individual trying to get hired. Now it has changed, and it's very competitive for communities to try to recruit and retain employees. There's a nationwide shortage of paramedics, and our employees, which you may know, we only hire paramedics at this point, and then we train them to be firefighters. They cross-man all apparatus. So while each station only has 3 people, 1 minute they're on the ambulance, the next minute they're on a fire truck. But if you are a trained paramedic and you have any experience anywhere else, it's a golden ticket to go anywhere you want right now. Fortunately, Chief Cody and Chief Palanzi, under the town administrator, under Marlene, they've created a culture that people stay in Bourne and they want to stay in Bourne. But it's just really a tough time to be a paramedic. And with COVID, there weren't as many paramedic students coming out. And then there was a requirement they had to be paramedic schools had to be tied in with a college. So it's kind of a whole bunch of things that kind of came together to create the shortage of paramedics. And with the shortage of supply and demand issues, and that's why it is tougher to recruit at this point.
And if I can add something to that, Carla. So some of these vacancies we can't fill because they have staff in them. They're just staff who are on various leaves. So as far as we have 4 vacancies right now that we can fill. One of them just happened. And so we had 3 vacancies that we could fill. And because of the process to go through the process of hiring in a civil service department, which Bourne is there's a test that has to be taken, and the state, we have to call for a list through the state, which we've done, but that takes time, and Now we're in the process of filling those 3 vacancies that we knew of. And we have a valid list now, and we will hopefully fill that 4th vacancy from the list. But some of it is, it's a process that we have to go to that is time consuming. But we are, at least as far as the true vacancies that we are able to fill, we hope to have those filled,
Okay.
as soon as possible.
All right, so it's just 3, now 4, and
Mhm.
3 we have a good line of sight to fill, 1 more to find, and then we still have 6 employees that are long-term absences. So we still will have a lot of overtime
Yes,
in
yes,
2026.
yes. We even fully staffed, because of the employees who are on various leaves, there will still be gaps in the schedule that will be filled using overtime.
Okay. Due to injuries or vacations or FMLA, something like that. But it
Correct.
won't be nearly as significant as, Erica, what did you say, like 1.3 million? Okay,
1,013,000.
1,013,000, 1.013. It's still a lot of money.
Mhm.
Okay. All right,
And
thank you.
If I can just add, the chief and the town administrator have been very aggressive trying to fill these positions. And as Marlene just alluded to, we have 3 in the pipeline right now. This 4th person that is leaving us, I think his notice was of the 6th, so this coming week. So it is something that the cards have gone out. We're not waiting to fill these, and we have 3 in the pipeline, and this 4th one, those cards are going out. The other ones, we're just in a holding pattern because we're hoping they come back to work.
Of course, yes, of
And I
course,
expect
yeah.
will,
Okay.
Thank you. Priscilla?
I, just a quick question. I thought I remembered we had a discussion about this subject. Now, is this, effort, does this have any revenue intake for the town? I had thought that, our ambulance corps charged other towns when we serviced them. I don't have a clear picture of that. I was wondering if someone could give me a better picture of that. Over.
Well, I mean, so on the ambulance calls, we do bill for those, and that's whether or not we serve Bourne residents, visitors to Bourne, or we go mutual aid to, say, Wareham or Sandwich. We do bill for those services. There are no bills for fire services. So if the fire truck comes to your house for a fire or carbon monoxide call, we do not bill for that. Car accident type things, we don't. Although a transport from a car accident, we do. But anytime our ambulance is going out the door, whether it's servicing a resident, a visitor born, or an outside community, we do bill for that.
I may also add, so we are using $1.5 million from the ambulance receipts reserve as a funding source in the general fund operating budget.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions or discussion about this reserve fund transfer request? Would anyone like to make a motion to make a reserve fund transfer amount of $152,700 for the fire department overtime expenses?
So moved.
Thank
Second.
you. Thank you. Any further discussion or comments about this? All right, hearing none. Roll call vote. Amanda,
Yes.
Carla,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Priscilla,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, sewer funds reserve transfer request for sludge disposal.
I'll let Matt Sawicki, the DPW director, explain the request here.
Thanks.
Good evening, Matt Sawicki, PW Director. This year we had an overage of about $40,000 in the sludge budget. The budget is $80,000, and currently we're at about $120,000. This overage is from an issue we have with quaternary pneumonia, which is a chemical that's been getting into the sewer system and killing the bacteria at the plant. And it's forcing us to remove more sludge. We have a solution to add a chemical to the system to eliminate that. But at this time, our budget is going to be over about $40,000 from the sludge attributed to the quaternary pneumonia. So this reserve fund is from the existing money already approved at town meeting. There's $100,000 in the sewer reserve fund. We're just asking for $40,000 of that to be transferred to the operating budget.
Thank you. And I see that the reserve fund, sewer reserve fund balance now is 100,000. So are any questions or comments on this sewer reserve fund transfer request?
I make a motion to approve the request.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this request? Okay, roll call vote. Amanda,
Yes.
Carla,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Priscilla?
Yes.
Thanks, and I'll vote yes. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks. All right, next item, debrief annual and special town meeting from a couple of months, well, just like a month ago. So, Marlon, you want to start?
I'm happy to just hear the feedback from the committee about if there are things that you would like to do differently or things that you thought we should change.
All right, so no one's jumping there. Well, maybe the case for some of these spending, like for the police department roof wasn't made.
Yeah, same thing I was going to say too. Yeah. Yeah.
It's tricky because once the voting starts, it's too late, but you think it's going to be, well, you may think, I would think it would definitely, some of these things would definitely pass. And when you start seeing they may not, it's too late. It may be too late to make a more argument. Anyway, so I remember Mr. Mealy saved, I forget which one it was, but he went back
The
in.
firing range, the
Yeah.
air conditioner at the firing range.
So that passed in reconsideration. But
Yep.
the police station roof hasn't, and it seems to be a problem that's not going to go away by itself. So do we have a plan B for that roof?
So my intention is that we will be bringing that back as a capital article in the fall to the Capital Outlay Committee. And we'll be asking the Capital Outlay Committee and the Finance Committee to essentially take a stronger position and help, explain your recommendation more to town meeting and, at the fall town meeting for the article.
Yeah, we'll be happy to do that.
And Marlene, do you mean more in the booklet or from the podium?
I think it's more important that the Finance Committee and the Capital Outlay Committee make the case from the podium to the room, to the voters in the room. I think that your voice is missing.
I'm sure that we certainly have no problem doing that, but I think that the department head has to also explain how it was determined and what they found, whereas we wouldn't normally have access to that information usually. But I think it's a collective effort among everybody. I certainly have no problem doing it at all, but I think something has to come from the department head as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's many boards and committees who look at these articles and to kind of reinforce that message, I think that it's important that we do speak with a unified voice.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any more discussion or question about the last town meeting? Or anything we might do differently going ahead?
Could we discuss ahead of time at our group, and I just don't know if we can, about articles that we think might be challenging at the town meeting and prepare a more thorough response? Is that
Yes.
something we can discuss?
Absolutely. So, on the agenda is kind of when articles are assigned, that would be my recommendation when, after you've had a chance to hear everything, for those that you as the representatives out in the community, those that you think might be controversial or difficult, that you work together as a committee to kind of craft how the finance committee is going to address those articles. And then you determine who's going to present the group's comments.
Right, because some of them are not going to be controversial, but some of them will cause consternation. And even going into the meeting, just from the Facebook noise that was going on, we knew that the roof was going to be a tough topic to pass.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Priscilla?
I was just gonna say maybe even after the ones that we think are gonna pass, if we kind of try to get into a mode and say, okay, let's think if it doesn't pass for some reason, what are all the possible reasons why it couldn't, instead of just kind of presuming it's going to pass. Like, we don't want to be in our own little echo chamber. Like, it is a problem in the world today anyway. But after we go through every article in our review of the document, to, okay, stop and say, okay, so what if this doesn't pass? And then try to look at flip sides, possible reasons why someone might look at it differently. Because the community as it stands now is, it has a different, it's a spectrum of people. It's not all of the same mind. And I think we have to listen to people and think of how they're thinking about it. But anyway, over.
We would just want to catch it before it, had a not, excuse me, a non-passing vote.
Yeah, but also kind of really, you know, look at it differently every single time. Kind of jog ourselves into looking at it as different community members might look at it. Might make things easier. Over.
Yeah, that would be a good exercise. I was just listening to an emergency medicine podcast and they talk about malpractice, which is a big deal. And the insurance companies run through this kind of a drill with their lawyer before they decide whether they're going to settle or go to trial. And one of the questions is if the jury rules, this is before the possible trial, but the question is if the jury votes against us, why would that be? So you try to think about what possible objections there might be out there, which could be hard to interpret. I thought that police station roof would be self-evident and need to be done, but you live and learn. So Priscilla?
No, that was just a thumbs up reaction.
Oh, sorry. Okay, any more discussion on the last town meeting or looking ahead to the next one? Okay, looks like none. So next would be correspondence. I don't know if we have any correspondence.
I don't think you have any this time around.
Thank you. And then we have the minutes of that aforementioned town meeting, which Carla reviewed and sent out to everyone. Thank you. Any discussion? Oh, is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Second,
I'll second.
any discussion on them? Seeing none, roll call vote. Amanda,
Yes.
Carla, we'll come back to Carla. Wayne,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes, from me. Sorry. Change
Thank
my
you.
button.
thanks.
Yes, I was a yes on that.
Thank you. And I'll vote yes to that carries.
I
Thank
do
you.
too.
And I'll apologize, Priscilla. Okay, future meeting dates was suggested, but Town Administrator, thank you. September 15th, 22 and 29. Do we have a date set for a fall special town meeting?
Yes, I believe if Monday is October 20th, it's, if that's a Monday, it's October 20th. But
Okay.
I am working on the schedule and we'll circulate that later this summer. But those are potential dates for in advance of the fall town meeting. Clearly, Jim, if you need to call a meeting before then, you always can.
Thank you. All right, well, thank you everyone for putting in another year, helping the people of town and serving on this committee.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thanks,
Second.
Chris. Okay. Any further discussion on this? Roll call vote, Amanda,
Yes.
Carla,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Priscilla,
Yes.
thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night.